Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Hi guys, how are you all doing? In today's video, I'm going to be reacting to some assumptions. Now, I can already feel the anger building inside of me because these are assumptions that people have said to you about mental illness that are just so invalidating. I'm sure a lot of these were said and not out of malice, not out of spite. I'm not angry at the people who have said them. I just want to make this video to educate people and to kind of shine a light on perhaps the reality of mental illness so that people know that these sorts of comments can be really unhelpful. If you're new here, hi, my name's Rachel, I'm autistic. I'm also in anorexia recovery. I do have like other mental illnesses as well. So I thought I could just react to these from my experience, growing up with mental illness, and why these comments are really badly damaging to people who have experience of mental illness from my experience. So yeah, let's get started. Okay. So first up, someone said to them, just distract yourself. I guess this is in response to depression. I think what a lot of people may not realise about depression, unless you have experienced it, is that it is all consuming, like completely all consuming. And I'll be very honest, like when I was in a really, really dark depressive phase last year, it completely took over my life. Like it really incapacitates you to the point where you can't function in daily life. Like it is just something that I don't even want to think back to, because it was just so like bad. And distracting yourself when you're in that is actually kind of impossible, because you literally can't, it is all consuming. And I get where this person's coming from, as in like they're trying to offer advice, but I think sometimes kind of saying stuff like just distract yourself, it can be a tiny bit invalidating, just because like, the person wishes they could, like they wish that just distracting themselves would actually work, but it doesn't. So yeah, I think better thing to say to someone who's depressed is just, how can I support you, rather than offering advice. Okay, next one. I think this is also to do with depression. Just stop being negative and get over it. I think what's important to realise is that, depression and anxiety and stuff like this, they're mental illnesses, and they're illnesses. The person, it's not a choice. The person doesn't choose to be depressed. Trust me, no one would ever choose that. And they therefore, they can do things that to support themselves, and you can support them and stuff like that, but they can't just stop being negative because they're mentally ill. And I think actually asking someone to stop being negative, it can actually be really damaging, because that person is then going to have to fake 24/7, which will also have a negative impact on their mental health. And I think the best thing is actually just listening to the person and kind of exploring it with them, and why everything feels so dark sometimes can help more than just taking it at a surface level. So you see the person, being negative, and immediately you just assume it is just their choice to feel that way. It's their choice to complain or whatever, but it's not. Like, I think when you are not in that headspace, it's very easy to think that, oh, you can just, it's a choice, you can just flick it on or off, or you can, do something about it. But with depression, there are things you can do, but the But ultimately, like, it's not a quick fix. You can't just like switch out of it or anything like that. So you can't just get over it. You know what I mean? Like, also depression is really scarring. Any mental illness is so scarring emotionally, physically, in so many different ways. And I'm going to be honest, like, it takes time for those wounds to heal. Like, you know, like, and that healing, a lot of that healing is on the inside. So just telling someone to get over it, like, it's not possible. Like, it will take a long, long time, you know, from my experience, to heal from, you know, stuff like that I've went through in the past, because it was so traumatic that, you know, I'm still processing it. I'm still kind of just healing from it to this day. Obviously, I'm still going through, you know, an eating disorder and stuff like that. But yeah, I think, yeah, just get over it. It's not, there's nothing to get over it. I think get through it is a better way of phrasing it. Like take each moment at a time. Try and get through these really, really dark days, because there is hope and there is brighter days ahead. But you can't get over it, because, you know, there is nothing to kind of get over. It is not a choice. And you can't just switch out of an illness. Like with any illness, like if you have a physical illness, such as like you hurt yourself and you have a plaster, like you can't just get over that, you know, like it takes time to heal. And I think kind of depression and mental illness is the same. Next up, mental illness is a choice, and that it seems to others you're being lazy when you're actually trying your hardest. Yeah, I really feel this one. I think living with mental illness is so beyond draining, and pretty much all the fight goes on inside your head. So when someone's struggling, you may not necessarily know. Like 99% of the time, you probably won't know. Like if I'm walking down the street, you know, it's unlikely people are going to know that I have anorexia unless they know me. And for someone who is still struggling with anorexia, that can be really harmful, because it kind of makes me feel like, you know, is this something I'm making up? Is this something that I'm making into a big deal? You know, stuff like that. It's just quite invalidating, and it's quite, as I said earlier, like surface level. You see someone and you immediately think that's how they feel, but your internal world and how you're feeling inside is very different from your external world. So how you portray on the outside. And I think, you know, it's so important to remember that, because, you know, I think just never ever make assumptions about how someone's feeling, because you just don't know. Like how someone's feeling is something that's the internal world, something that's going on inside, and yeah, you just have no idea from the outside. Obviously, you know, in the midst of my eating disorder, when I was at, you know, a really low place mentally and physically, it did show. But then as soon as I started gaining weight, you know, you get the you're looking well and stuff like this, and it's like, I'm looking well, but I don't feel well. Like, it's a mental illness. I'm still recovering from a mental illness, even if I've gained weight. And that sort of thing can be really triggering for someone with an eating disorder, because it's like, well, are people not going to take me seriously now? Are people not going to believe me that I'm struggling? Do I need to kind of rely on anorexia just to feel like I deserve support and I deserve, like, what I'm saying is legitimate? In terms of this person, like, you know, it's not a choice. Like, no illness is a choice. I think people don't understand mental illness in the same way as physical illness, such as, like, as I said earlier, like, you know, getting a cut and putting a plaster on it. Like, in a way, that's kind of like emotional wounds. Like, they take time to heal. And, you know, even if someone's not struggling with a mental illness, you know, they've recovered, say, from that mental illness, you know, there's still going to be quite a lot of wounds from all those years of trauma that they still need to heal from. So yeah, it's never a choice. Trust me, if you ask any single person with mental illness, they're never going to choose it. Like, no one wants to be unwell. You know, it takes years away from you. Like, you know, it's taken years away from me, of my childhood, and I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. and it certainly, you know, wouldn't be my choice. Like, why would I choose to go through something like that? You just wouldn't. I wouldn't even wish it like on anyone. Like, yeah, if I could take it away, I would, because it's just horrendous. Next up, you have a good life, but you're still depressed. Yeah. So I guess this person's alluding to when people kind of say, but you're like, you know, your life's really good and you should be grateful and stuff like this. I think I've really struggled with this one because I believe, and I, you know, through everything, I still, like, I know I'm such, like, I'm so lucky, I'm so grateful, I am so privileged, and I feel so blessed. Like, genuinely, like, I have an amazing supportive parents, and, you know, I have so many opportunities, and I am so grateful for that, but I still struggle, you know, like, I have an eating disorder, and eating disorders don't, like, and mental illness doesn't discriminate. Like, you could have the best possible life possible, and, you know, you could still get unwell because they don't discriminate. And in the same way, you deserve help, always, like, no matter what. Like, you're in pain, you know, you're ill, and you deserve help for that. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's important to be aware of your privileges 100% and be grateful. But at the same time, if something's going really bad, if something's so hard, validate yourself. You know what? This is shit, and I'm okay to say that. Okay, so next one. The fact that I'm smiling and laughing doesn't mean I'm happy. Yeah, I think again, this is the internal world and external world. Like, someone can fake it till they make it genuinely and still be really struggling inside, you know? Like, there's times, like, right up until I got diagnosed with anorexia in, like, hospital and stuff, like, I was saying I'm fine and everything's fine, and, like, you know, it was not fine, like, at all. And I was maybe faking a laugh or, like, faking a smile, and, you know, what I was going through was just nothing like that. And I think sometimes you have to dig a bit deeper, ask someone twice how they are, you know, be assertive, and just, yeah, check in on your friends, even the happy ones, because you never know. There's no harm in asking someone how they are twice or three times, or, you know, just checking in on someone, because it can make the biggest difference. Next up, when I can't get off the couch all day and fulfill responsibilities, I'm lazy or inconsiderate. Okay, so for this one, I would say that there's this quote, and it's like, if you wake up with 20% to give, like, your battery is at 20%, and you give that 20%, you have given 100%, you know? Like, if you have got out of bed, that might have used some of your energy up, and, you know, like, if you cannot give any more, you cannot give any more. You know what I mean? Like, getting out of bed and doing, like, breathing and keeping on going and taking it moment by moment, like, that is an achievement. And that is such a hard thing to do, to keep on going. And I think you have to, you know, congratulate yourself, like, you know, the small wins, like, you know, I brushed my teeth, or I did this, and that, like, I feel like in society that's not seen as a big thing, but why not? Like, it should be, because it is a big thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you literally have no energy, or, like, literally you're on 1%, and you give that 1%, you have given 100%. You know, that you've tried your best. Your best was that 1%, which is actually 100%, and that's good enough. And I think half the time, or, like, most of the time, people won't know at all how, you know, how hard it is, because they don't live inside your brain. And people may call you inconsiderate and stuff like that, but they just don't have the awareness of what it's like to live with mental illness. But you do, and you know how hard you're trying. Like, in your heart, you know how hard you're trying, and you know how hard it is to keep going. So, yeah, sometimes you have to congratulate yourself when other people won't, because sadly they just, you know, because they just don't understand it. Of course, like, we hope that people would try and understand and try and listen. But yeah, I feel like no one can truly, truly, truly understand the level of pain, because they are not you. But you'd hope that they would be empathetic and, you know, understand, of course. Depression isn't just lying in bed. You can have depression and seem functional. yeah, I think the high functioning labels, low functioning labels, I do not like them at all. It's the same with being autistic, you know, because I am high functioning, but I'm also low functioning. You know what I mean? Like, they're both like people and they're both me, you know? Like, no matter what, like, you know, it's going to vary. There's no, I don't fit into that box because that is not me. Like, you know, like if you're talking to someone, you know, in the daytime, they don't know what happens at night. They don't know that I'm having a meltdown. They don't know, you know, X, Y, Z. They don't know that. So how could they ever make the judgment that I'm high functioning or low functioning? And also, I think that places emphasis on what the person can't do. So, you know, if someone's deemed as low functioning, what does that even mean? They're low functioning to you because you can function a certain way, but who knows if that's the like appropriate way to function. That's how everyone is supposed to function. Like, maybe that's not, you know, like if someone doesn't, you know, if someone struggles with something that you can do, but then they might be really good at something that you can't do, and you know, are you then like not able to function with that thing? And like, you know what I mean? Like, I know the idea of it, but I just don't think that it translates to real world life. And I think, you know, those people who are, say, being in the category low functioning, like, those people have so many strengths too. Like, are you just going to ignore that because they can't function to the same standard as like what you would class as average, you know? They may interact with the world differently, but that doesn't mean they're less. That doesn't mean they're low or high or whatever, you know? So I think it's the same with depression. Like, you have no idea when someone's struggling, and someone can go about their daily life and be so depressed, but you would have no idea. And you know what? By saying that you don't have depression, not only is it invalidating, but it's also just saying that they're a good actor. You know what I mean? Because that person is giving everything they've got, and they've literally got darkness in their head, and then, you know, you're saying that they don't have it, but you can't see what it's like for that person. You know, you're not that person, so don't kind of make those assumptions because you don't have any idea. And there's no kind of tick box, well, if you got out of bed or if you started, like, went on a run or something like that, then you're not depressed. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? It is a mental illness. I'm going to end this video here. I hope that kind of made sense. I don't know if that made sense at all, honestly. But it was really nice to kind of talk it through. And as I said at the beginning, like, please share this video with who you think would find it helpful, because I think it's so important to raise awareness on these sorts of things. Like, I know obviously not everyone has experience of, you know, anorexia or OCD or whatever, but hopefully, like, giving my experience and giving my sort of opinion on this will help people better understand it if they haven't had experience of it themselves. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please go follow me on Instagram, because I do a lot of small kind of these sorts of videos on there, shorter style ones. I'm doing also a really cool series where I kind of like do these little monologues to important issues like high functioning and low functioning, and yeah, go head over there. We're having a lot of fun in there. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you very soon for a brand new video. Bye guys.